Hello and welcome to this discussion that we're going to have today about MATC's Gap Year Program. We're glad to have you join us as we talk about the program's inception, how it works, why it matters, and the impact that it's had on the participants. My name is Mattefs. I am the Community Engagement and Network Development at NEWaukee, and I'm the lead producer of the Gap Year's first cohort through MATC. At this time, I'm going to let our featured speakers introduce themselves and tell all of you about their involvement in this program. And we're going to kick it off with Richa Joshi.
Thank you so much, Molly. Good morning, everybody. I'm Richa Joshi from Northwestern Mutual. I take care of their early careers program. So I'm a project manager and program manager for the early careers program at Northwestern Mutual. And we create an entry-level pipeline for technology at Northwestern Mutual. My involvement with Gap Year program was within its first iteration, and we had a great experience. We had a whole week, the STEM week of the first Gap Year, and it was so energizing and inspiring interacting with all the participants in the first from the first cohort. So I'm looking forward to the second one. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nandi, do you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Nandi Mallett. I'm actually one of the recruiters at the downtown Milwaukee campus. And how I was involved with Gap Year is I helped the students discover each program that they were exploring that week. So giving them information about the programs, whether that's STEM, healthcare, just giving them an overview. And I also helped the students who eventually who completed the program, who were interested in actually applying to MATC. I helped them with that application process. So I'm also excited about the next cohort.
Thank you, Nandi. Next, we're going to move over to Alexis, if we can get her pinned. Alexis, why don't you introduce yourself and explain how you're involved in the Gap Year?
All right. Hi, my name is Alexis Carrillo. I am the alumni of the program of Gap Year.
Perfect, thank you. And lastly, we have Laura Bray.
Good morning, everyone. Laura Bray. I serve as the Vice President of College Advancement and External Communications, and as well I'm the Executive Director of the MATC Foundation. And you'll hear more about how I got involved in this when I give an overview of the program.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. If you have any questions along the way, anybody can add their questions in the chat and we'll make sure to answer them at the end. But let's get started. And Laura, why don't you take it away with the program overview?
All right. Can you confirm, Molly, that you see Gap Year on my screen?
Yes, I can. Looks great.
Excellent. So, you know, I think that the pandemic created an opportunity for people to say, let's be creative. And because we were all kind of locked down for a little bit of time, we had worked with NEWaukee in the past from MATC, and we just started having conversations about what could we do together that really answered some of the questions and some of the challenges that our community was having. And it was literally, I think in April or May, after we had shut down, where Jeremy reached out to me from NEWaukee and said, I think we should do something together as we look at the trends in more and more people taking gap years. And however this pandemic goes, it's likely that people are going to start to think differently about college and careers. And so NEWaukee is definitely at the forefront of thinking ahead. So I'll go through a little bit about how the program is set up, but real quickly, the partnership is between MATC and NEWaukee. So MATC, we educate about 30,000 students each year. Our average age is 28. We do have people coming direct from high school, but the large majority are people that are either mid-career or earlier in their career. 57% of the people that enroll at MATC identify as students of color, and we educate the region. 87% of our grads work right here in the Milwaukee region. We've had several things that we've done that have been in response to where our community is at. One is the MATC Promise, and another is how we organize our student services under a model called Guided Pathways, and the way that we really try to reorganize our college for better success, knowing and to really remove equity gaps. For NEWaukee, they're an engagement agency that really works with organizations like MATC to really look at new and transformational experiences, and in large part that really ground people in the Milwaukee area. So we looked at a number of factors when we're innovating here at MATC, and some of the things that we pull out are these three trends. One is the skills gap is real. People talk about it, but here's some stats that you get a sense of how real the skills gap is. In the Milwaukee area, only 37% of Milwaukee County residents hold an associate degree or higher, but 62% of the jobs require, in the state of Wisconsin, require a degree beyond high school. And so that you can see the real mismatch when people talk about the skills gap. Next is equity gaps persist. In a study that the MMAC did, and several of, we probably have seen this again and again, they did something at the MMAC called the Region of Choice, and they looked at measures of prosperity and ranked several communities, I think it was 20 different cities that are peer cities to Milwaukee, on these 7 things. So everything from how do we do on unemployment, the percentage of bachelor's degrees, the poverty rate, owner-occupied housing, et cetera. And when we looked at white Milwaukee, we were number 6 on those 7 areas of prosperity when compared to 21 communities. But when we looked at African American, Hispanic, in both instances, we were dead last. And we, as a community, we're all trying to work to really take this extremely seriously, and companies are signing on to be able to say, we want to do something about this. And then next is just demographic shifts in behavior. So one of the things that we're seeing nationally is that college enrollment is down, both because just the number of college-age students is smaller as a cohort, but also because people are making different choices. And the number of students that are projected to go to school, actually the decline is going to be greater in Black and Hispanic individuals than that of white and Asian Americans. And then the last thing is that there's been an increase of 294% over the last 10 years of people actually choosing to take a gap year. And sometimes when people take a gap year, it means that they might take a gap 10 years. It means that they might never complete that degree. And they may have plenty of opportunities to accelerate, but the statistics and the research says that there's a direct correlation between earning and advancement to degree. So while we understand the need for people to have some time to reflect and step back, or other individuals may say, I don't even know if I'm college material, we hear that a lot, or that I don't know how I'm going to afford it. We thought, let's give in a program that's an immersive program for high school graduates to really have a career accelerator to just explore, and to do so in a hands-on way, and to give them an opportunity to really explore what might be possible career paths in a fun and engaging way, while they still take a little bit of time out to figure out what might be next. So what the program structure is this: we have a 10-week paid intensive program, and they are required during that period of the 10 weeks to have a 1 day a week that they come for 8 hours, and everything else is flexible. They meet with our recruitment team. Nandi meets with all of them. They meet with our career counselors. They can meet with faculty, but they can do that part of it on their own exploration. But we really curate an intensive experience for them 1 day a week, where they meet employers, they get in the classroom, they have hands-on learning experiences. And you even see some of that picture right now is from that experience. We provide complimentary transportation to and from MATC as well as through the program. The funds that we raise fund that. We also provide lunch and snacks. We give a stipend to all the students, so it's treated like an internship so that they don't have to make a choice between, oh no, this is the day I can't work, I won't be able to earn anything, that this actually is recognized as an opportunity to almost like an internship. And then what we do is we do a year full of activities. So while they have a 10-week intensive, we have a year full of alumni activities where they can tour different companies. They might just be able to go in an experience with area employers to a Brewers game or something like that, so that they develop a network here in Milwaukee of both peers and individuals that they feel more connected, and that they have access to employers and other people to explore their career. If you think about when you joined your first professional organization, or you got your first taste of that networking, usually that happens much later in your career. And if we're able to give some of the tools of that relationship building that we know that's so important for all the moves along the way, really early on in their careers, we think that can be really important for them growing their careers here in the Milwaukee area. So here are some results from our first cohort that we did. Whoops. What we intentionally did is to, in our marketing and our recruitment and our relationship building, we really tried to have as diverse of a group as possible. And so as you can see, it's female is 52%, male is 48%, and transgender was 8%. And then you can see in terms of race and ethnicity, only 12% of the participants were white, and the largest groups were those that were African American and Hispanic Latino. Then next, what was really interesting is we made a threshold that the individuals that could participate were those that were $75,000 and under in terms of their family and household income, because often what we found the research is that the gap year opportunities are really saved for those that have the ability to go off to Costa Rica and find themselves. And that's a great opportunity to be able to do that if you have the income that allows it. But this was really intended for individuals that might not have access to have a program like this. Some big successes we really celebrated when we did pre and post surveys is that people are increasing their knowledge of Milwaukee. They're increasing their understanding of career options, and they're increasing their knowledge about programs offered here at MATC. But we also highlight other programs, or we have a lot of four-year transfer partners at MATC. So we don't just steer them to opportunities here, but we really give this as a way that they can explore possibilities. And then 100% said they found great value in hearing directly from the career coaches. And that's something that our career coaches are available, even if you're just like trying to figure out what might I do next. You can create a meeting with one of our career coaches here as you're exploring. So some of the quotables that we have really inspired us. One person who there were several people that really, one person was able to get a job with one of the employers that we work with. You know, you can read some of the feedback. I appreciate my city more. I'm much more aware of what I want and need in order to attain my career goals. These are the kind of things that by having this career exploration intensive, that's exactly what we were hoping. So that gives you enough to have a really interesting discussion. I will say that Molly at the end is going to share kind of some information. This is fully funded through, this is a new program that we're launching, and we are looking for investment partners that can help us ensure that this has not just a pilot launch, but that we actually are able to fund it for a 4-year full launch beyond the pilot, and to really bring this to be something that's always offered in Milwaukee. And so we're in the midst of doing some fundraising around that. So I'll turn it over to you, Molly, to help facilitate the next section. Thanks.
Thanks, Laura, for sharing that overview and explaining the background of the program. I'd like to know then, as we get our panel kicked off, what makes this program different from other programs that are similar to it? Maybe MATC can take this one.
Nandi, you want to start this one?
Sure. I would say what makes this program different from the others. For me, it's different because it allows students the opportunity. It kind of decreases the pressure of trying to figure out what exactly they want to do after high school. So a lot of students, they're able to really get to know what they want to do as far as the program exploration that they have done. So I think that's what makes it's so different, because not only are you able to network with individuals at a technical college, you're able to network and see other employers and network with other people in the community. So it's different in that aspect. I think it really alleviates some of the pressure that a lot of students have when they're approaching graduation, because it's a lot. Do I want to go to college? Do I want to go to a 4-year? Do I want to take a break? Do I want to so it just creates a space that's healthy. It's conducive, and they're able to just flourish, and they're able to not only just be involved with other things in the community, but also with other colleagues, other students just like them who are in the same type of space, or in the same type of mind frame as what the heck do I want to do? So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Laura, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think one of the things in talking with a lot of the counselors in planning the program from the local high schools is that they do the best they can within the high school calendar year to be able to give exposure. But because, students are in school full time, it's difficult for them to give the depth of experience. So they might do a great job in exposure, and we're able to go much deeper in a full 8-hour day. And we organize the days based upon kind of career pathway. And so we're able to kind of go very deep into STEM careers in the area, healthcare careers even like firefighting and other emergency responders. So we're able to go much deeper, and we're able to turn on different parts of your brain. So one person might be very creative, but never had known that, that actually there's business degrees that could kind of help them flex that muscle. And so they're able to see a lot of different careers that are totally different from one another and see what feels right. Try it on for size.
Absolutely. Regarding that, and maybe like what was to be expected of this program and how it actually turned out, what is something unexpected that came from this program or that surprised you about how it came to fruition after just the inception phase? Richa, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Sure. I would like to share one experience we had during last cohort. We had our wonderful colleague Heather during the STEM week talking about her own journey. And while she was talking about her life, she told everybody like she is working currently in the space of data analytics, and how she was able to learn everything she's working on today within the last 3 years. And which was so powerful to see, because then there was this one student that came forward saying, hey, I went to the same school as you. And to be able to see all of the students being able to envision that they can be in a certain career, and they need to have, like, there are so many preconceived notions in their mind about, hey, I didn't study this in school, or I have to get like this certain degree to be in a particular career. So for me, the unexpected part was how instantly relatable our colleagues were with them, and how they were able to envision themselves in a career, and they were able to see that they don't need to have a particular background to be in a career. Like they can learn anything, especially in IT or the tech space. They can learn anything if they want to from scratch within like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. So that was a wonderful moment to see them connect.
Yeah, I think that connection piece was really key in this first cohort, and finding people that they could relate to or that they could learn from. Alexis, what are your thoughts on how the program went?
The same thing of like relatableness. Something surprising to me is that like they all started somewhere and like didn't know where they were gonna go, but like they took a leap of faith and joined the program or joined the college program, joined, the gap year or something, and like really found, like let's say when we went to IT, um, he was like, I just took like a leap of faith into IT, I really liked it, so might as well like try it out and see. And a lot of people nowadays, they don't like to take a leap of faith. So with that being said, like us, like we all just looked at each other like we should take a leap of faith. So something surprising to me was just like that they were at the same mindset as us, of course, and like how they got to where they are now, being successful and all.
I love that. Yeah, and I feel like the bond that the interns each made with one another only helped to progress their ability to take on more of the program and explore more options that were available to them. Laura, why do you think that gap year is important for the young adults?
It's funny, as we were talking to various people and putting this out, I can't tell you how many 40-year-olds said, God, I wish I had this when I was younger. I wish I had this because I wouldn't have stumbled into like multiple things. And so that probably, what an opportunity, not only in this moment in time, but I think this really is something that our community has needed for a while. And I do think there's a couple of questions about replicating this in other areas. It's not rocket science. I mean, certainly the partnership that was formed between NEWaukee and MATC is a really strong one, because we come with different ways of helping toward this problem. So I do think that's a little bit of our secret sauce, is the two of us working together. But no, I think that it's just, I do think that it meets the moment in terms of people kind of questioning, why is the training and education important for their career advancement? And this gives real life examples of, if you want to get here, these are the steps you need to take. So.
Definitely. Alexis, why do you think that the Gap Year program was so important for yourself and for the peers who were also part of this first program?
Thank you. I was gonna say, I feel like it is a really important program to take for sure, because you get to open your mind to new possibilities, what Milwaukee has to offer. And a lot of people really don't know about the knowledge behind or about what Milwaukee really has to offer. Like, we have a lot to offer where you can start at Milwaukee and move, if you want to go anywhere else in the state, you can. But to start in your hometown would be just really great. And knowing like the knowledge behind everything and getting to know there's like a lot there. And I feel like gap year should be like everywhere for real, because I've been telling a lot of people lately as well, like, do you know what you want to do in your for college or for your future? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, you should go to the gap year, MATC Gap Year Program. They'll teach you a lot, and you'll have hands-on training. You'll go to the work sites, and you'll just know so much that it's like amazing.
Thank you. What other types of changes do you think you saw in yourself or in the others who went through the program from the beginning to the end?
I seen that this one girl, she was like really good in like IT. So that's why I brought up the IT part, but she was really good in like all financing and all that other stuff. And so her like actually taking that leap of faith to actually do that. And then me and this one girl, firefighter really hit me because it was like, you know, hands-on, like I'm saving people's lives, but also it's just like the firefighters were telling me like it's not a fear of heights, but a fear of falling. So they'll teach you about that and teach you like the ways to overcome and breathe and this, that, and whatever. And I just feel like it changed a lot of people, like just to know behind the scenes of it and how they got there, or like what they did to overcome their fear of falling, or to just take that leap of faith into that.
That's great. We can't wait to hear what you decide to do next with that. Regarding overcoming some challenges, Laura, what do you think were some of the challenges that Gap Year had to overcome as a whole? And how did you and your team surmount those?
Sure. Well, some of the challenges that we initiated this in the middle of the pandemic. And so our first class was still, you know, fully masked, and we were working through, you know, right before we launched, there was actually a spike in COVID. And so we really had to think about what happens if, you know, we had pretty strong protocols at MATC that we had initiated and really gotten down. And so making sure that students understood all of that. And we had to kind of consider what would be the way to do this virtually versus in person. And thankfully we were able to do all the classes in person in a room that was allowed for social distancing and all that. And quite honestly, all the things you're hearing, it really is, it's a hands-on experience. So we were super grateful that we were able to do the risk mitigation and be able to ensure that people were in person. But as everybody knows, you know, the week to week, how do you pivot to make sure that you're running the program was something that certainly we didn't expect going in. The other piece I would say is when we first were trying to design the program, one of the thoughts that we had was, let's do it so that students have the ability to come 3 times a week and maybe every morning, and let's truly have it be a 10-week intensive where they're here most of the time. And the feedback we got from counselors and also from prospective students is that, you know, 90% of these folks are working. And so the idea of trying to schedule around 3 days a week was a crazy idea. And when we landed on this 1 day a week, and then the ability to choose your own adventure on the other days a week as you see fit, and as you need the support, and will accommodate to your schedule versus the other way around, I think that probably was the biggest aha. And really, you know, we at MATC believe that we try to anchor ourselves in listening to the needs of the student and designing around them versus the other way around. And this was a reminder of how important that was. So those are some of the thoughts that I had.
Thank you. So that was an initial challenge for us as we were trying to make all of these plans during COVID. So I'm glad that we were able to meet in person, and Nandi from MATC was able to join us on a weekly basis and get to know the participants and meet with the community partners and such as well. Nandi, did you see any challenges firsthand on a week-to-week basis, or did you see any following after how to surmount those challenges?
Yeah, I think really what Laura was saying as far as like the beginning and figuring out, okay, so how do we keep the participants safe, but also our community partners? So it was a challenge that we were able to work through, especially with, you know, distancing and mask and whatnot. But I think that was like the one biggest challenge. I think for the first cohort, I think it went pretty well. I think we accomplished a lot. We were able to really give students what they needed as far as the different programs that they can explore, the pathways that we had, that we do have at MATC. So I was pretty optimistic, even though we were having a lot of those challenges at the beginning initially. I think overall, the students were able to get a very good experience.
Yeah, I agree. And I was reading in the chat about, there was a question about whether this could be something that could be done outside of the greater Milwaukee area or perhaps replicated in other states and schools. Laura, do you have thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I think if others would think about replicating this, the nice thing is that if you work with one of the community colleges or someone that has the labs and the faculty and the people that are connected to industry, it makes it a lot easier. So if you did it at a place where they don't have the infrastructure or the instructors, like at a community-based organization, you'd have to implant all of that on your own. And so we were able to use the infrastructure and the talent here at MATC to put together a program. And what we were missing is that, we're designed we're designed to do college education and technical education. And so what NEWaukee brings to it is they helped us think outside the box and create an experience that was different than what we typically do. And so I would say that the replication of it would need that kind of, would need the infrastructure and the physical spaces. And it's helpful to have people that are the bridge in the faculty between, wanting to study something and then wanting to be in the field.
Richa, from an outside of MATC perspective, do you think this has the potential to be easily replicated elsewhere?
Yes, I do, because one, the feeling of being lost and what do I do next, like Laura said, I wish I had that, is something that resonates with a lot of young adults around the country and other cities and states. But I agree with Laura, like what needs to be replicated is like bringing together that community of like infrastructure colleges and various organizations and like-minded people who want to work towards this and who want to invest their resources and people and time towards, trying to tell a story and trying to tell these young people how a day in their life looks like, how a day in a person working in hospitality looks like, a person working in IT looks like. So trying to bring those individuals together and trying to have that community support is something I think that can be definitely replicated elsewhere.
Thank you for that. Along those lines, do you have any advice for other organizations that would be looking to get involved into our gap year experience and how you felt about it, how the process went?
The process was great. The process was absolutely wonderful. We had 3 individuals from our organization in completely different roles within tech and STEM talk about their career journeys, which were so unique and different from each other, but each one of that resonated with the students. What was a little unexpected was I didn't realize how many people within the cohort had visa requirements or some kind of restrictions because of them being immigrants or children, or like their parents are immigrants. So that is something I wish I knew in advance before getting into the program. That is something we did not consider while we were talking to them about various careers and hey, this is how a day in our life looks like, right? But when you actually talk to them, they have different struggles. Like Laura mentioned in all the statistics in the beginning that we try to bring a lot of Hispanic, African American, and various communities within the program. But what we don't realize is a lot of these communities come from immigrant backgrounds and they have their own struggles of getting employment, getting visas, getting various permissions. So that is one piece I would like we as organizations should be able to empower them and give them some kind of options.
Thank you. let's go to MATC along those lines. Is there anything else that you wish you knew going into the program that you know now?
It does take a lot of effort. I will say that, like, standing up this program is something that it's not. So we're looking at how to resource it in a way that it can be sustained, and so it's not. Yeah, I guess I'll just say that it's definitely, there's a team here at MATC and a team at NEWaukee that touches it. MATC contributes all of our time, and then toward the project, and but then in order to have it properly staffed and properly executed, we definitely need partners in order to fund it.
Nandi, anything to add on your end?
I would say probably just and what Alexis was saying, it's we have so much to offer. Even though I was born and raised here in Milwaukee, it's some of the employers that came and spoke with the students and we worked with. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this was here. So it was I was able to explore myself as the students were exploring. So it was kind of neat that, you know, I was getting to know something different and new, just like the students. So.
Thank you. Alexis, I see you shared in the chat. Do you wanna explain more about what you've written?
Yes, I can. So basically, just the networking that, like, doing our LinkedIn and seeing how people, well, the people I've met, like digital marketing, the guy, he was showing his LinkedIn and how he got to meet people and how they know that he's a pianist, and like just like all the networking that there is, and like just getting to meet people and see like how they got there, and how they got there, and like what they do in their daily lives. And it just really inspired me to just talk to more people. So now when I like look up to somebody, if I see someone has like a nice car, I don't really look at the car, but it's like, if it's nice, you know, I'm like, how did you get there? What do you do in your daily life? What's your job? And they were like, I actually own my own business. And in the own business, I think it was the food industry. And I was like, that's really cool, you know, like just to see how people got there and how what makes them I was like, why did you choose the food industry? And he was like, it's not really about the money, it's more about making your people happy. If you make your people happy, the money flows in as well, but you know, you'll have a strong foundation, you know, of people that come back and this, that. And it was just very eye-opening, the program as well. I would love to see this in like not just Milwaukee, but everywhere if possible. Like people, this is really like a good program for people. And I know now too, like my generation and even like 20, you know, 30, some of them, they know what they're doing now, but they like just wish that they could have had this program back then as well. And I feel like it's a very good program to have.
Thank you. We were glad that you were a part of it. Laura, do you want to share a little bit about how participants or organizations can get involved in Gap Year?
Sure. So I'm going to kind of answer some of the questions too at the same time. So in terms of one of the questions that I think Tracy Luber asked is, who do we reach out to? And so we did a lot of discussing with organizations like Boys and Girls Club and others to make them aware of this, but certainly doing more of that. In large part, we worked through the high school guidance counselors in our district because they're the ones that are really at that point. But certainly, Tracy, if you have ideas on how to work with COA and others, or if you are interested in being part of the web of information when we do go live with an application to participate, go ahead and email Molly, or we'll give you information and she can do that. We do have opportunities for people to sponsor and become a part of it. And that's another thing. If there are companies or people that would say, wow, at my place of work, we're always talking about doing creative things. And if you wanted to introduce us to folks that might consider being an investor in this. And what we did with several of those that were investors, we were able to kind of integrate them or do site visits at their company or other ways that it can make it a real value add for them as they're trying to recruit talent. And again, just Molly will put her contact information and she'll be your point of contact if there's any way you want to connect. We also are always looking for interesting places to take students for lunch or in the community. So we did things like they went to Sherman Phoenix or they went to other places for lunch. And so if there's interesting spots in neighborhoods or in communities that you think it would really benefit from them to get a brighter, like a wider lens of what Milwaukee has to offer, that's another thing we look for. Small businesses, supporting small businesses is another thing we're trying to do. I think that's a couple of ideas.
That's great. Another question was about careers that are options through the program. Nandi, do you want to speak about, the pathways at MATC and what we cover?
Yep. So at MATC, we have 7 pathways. So the students were able to explore healthcare, manufacturing, and construction, STEM. So they were able to kind of cover all the pathways except education, because we wanted to make sure that they had that hands-on type of experience. Within those pathways, we did have employers who came and spoke. So within those pathways, some of the on-site, I'll just use aviation, for example, because it was hands-on. We took the students to our aviation center, and so they were able to work with faculty who knew, a lot of different companies and shared with the students that a lot of airlines are looking for students. So having those networks, so, Delta, Southwest. So that was a way that we were able to share what that looks like as far as students earning jobs or internships. A lot of our partners were able to share that with the students within the pathways that we were exploring for the week. So each week, each different pathway had faculty come in and also employers who sometimes working with those faculty members to share what opportunities they had elsewhere, whether that's internships or employment.
Yeah, we definitely tried to make our rounds in the greater Milwaukee area while being cognizant of how far we could travel based on taking a bus to different organizations. But that's how Richa at Northwestern Mutual was involved and many others who were able to join us. So again, as Laura mentioned, if you're interested in participating, please feel free to reach out to me. My email's in the chat, and we would be happy to connect you and discuss some thoughts that you might have. A fun question that popped up in the chat was, what is Alexis planning to do with her future?
All right, so with my future, with this gap year program, it definitely opened my eyes to healthcare. I've always loved to help people, but it's like healthcare within like talking to people and just like being there and saving lives, so I've been thinking about firefighting, maybe getting into like a firefighting program to see like, behind the scenes, make sure it's really for me as like shadow work, I would say. So just testing it out and seeing if that's for me. I do want to do like public speaking as well. but definitely like the main one, like to get into would be firefighting, just helping people, or EMT, something along those lines.
Yes, you were definitely very hands-on those weeks and super interested with many questions. So that's been great. And Alexis is also part of our alumni network. So she's been joining us on a bi-monthly basis to see what else Milwaukee has to offer, who else we can chat with and tap into and network with so that we continue with that growth. A question from Lauren says, what are the goals for future participant groups and how will those participants be engaged? Laura, do you feel comfortable?
Sure. I think if I'm not answering this question, let me know. But our goal, our ultimate goal is to be able to offer this for 2 cohorts every year. And that could be that we offer one in spring and one in fall. So one that starts in the January or spring term, and then one that's in the fall term. So September. We have a new class that's going to be starting in September in a couple of weeks. And really our goal is to try to take what is this inkling of what you've heard and Alexis and her teammates went through, and to really solidify the model and do that over the course of the next 4 years, and devise a way that this is replicable and just a part of the Milwaukee community for years to come. That is our ultimate goal. And for the individuals, what would happen is all the students that are coming through this next time will also then become a part of the alumni network. So Alexis has a group of people she knows, and then she's going to have a whole nother group of people she gets to know, and who she becomes, in quite honestly, Alexis, and I could totally see you doing this, is you become a mentor to some of the students that were in your shoes 1 year ago. And you're able to say, this is how I'm exploring. And that kind of peer mentoring, it's a world of difference so that you don't feel alone. And so I can't wait for you, Alexis, to meet some of the new interns that are coming through, and for you to shed, like, just to bring your light and your life to those students as they're trying to figure out what's next for themselves.
Yes, we're excited about that. We already have dates lined up for the first cohort to join us as shadows for the second cohort, just to have that sense of relatability and everybody's in it together. I'm seeing a couple of questions about the cost per student and whether students get college credit. Does someone from MATC want to talk about that?
So the cost per student, they actually get paid. So we could, if you're interested in investing, we could tell you the actual cost per student, but the cost to the student is that we expect that they take this seriously, and we expect they show up. And we understand that the choices they have right now are to immediately to go to work because they have to support themselves. And yes, they can continue to do that. We've done the schedule and such that they don't have to make the choice between doing this or working. But we want to make sure that the stumbling block, or like that money isn't the thing that gets in the way of them to participate in this. Once they graduate, the alumni experiences are on their own or are completely optional. But certainly, as you can get a sense that we're hoping that they're rich and that they are they're important. You are asking for investment partnership purposes. I can get that up really fast so that you can get a sense. And if you hold that, maybe you can field another question while I do that.
Definitely. So along with that, do students earn college credit in the program? They do earn a credit so that they are enrolled in MATC. Nandi, do you want to talk a little bit about where they would go post this program and the Promise program or other options available to them?
Sure. So the purpose is we don't, push, you have to come to MATC and enroll in a program. That's the end goal. We encourage that. We would love for all of our students to come back to MATC and enroll in a program, but it's really for their enrichment. It's really for them to kind of discover what they want to do. But we do have some students from our first cohort who is actually enrolled in the program. They knew, this is what I want to do. We have a student who is in the IT program. She's enrolled in classes ready ready for the fall. So we do have students who do that route. They, I think MATC is a good spot for me to start, and I'm gonna enroll in some classes. So that's one of the end goals that students can opt to do. They are able to take advantage of our Promise program, which is our free tuition scholarship for new high school grads. So that's also an option. They're able to take that with them if they do decide to say, hey, MATC is a place to be. Or, they can take everything that they've learned and apply it elsewhere, whether that's, I want to go right into the workforce. I'm thinking about maybe starting at a 4-year, whatever they want to do. We're here to support those students, but the end goal is to really allow the students to figure out what they want to do. And that we're here to support in that way, in capacity.
Thank you. I see Laura shared a couple details in the chat about the cost per student. Regarding August's question about the careers that are introduced, we do tap into all of the instructors at MATC to see who has the availability and the capacity to join us. So each cohort might be different as far as those that we introduce to the participants. The same goes for those community partners who choose to join us each cohort as well. And then this second cohort, we've decided to add a week where those individuals who know what they're interested in doing or have a strong feeling of a direction that they'd like to go in, that we invite community partners or additional instructors that week to have a one-on-one interaction with the individuals so that they can learn more specifically and meet those people specifically to make those next steps happen for them.
I will say, August, if there is a desire to get involved in our programs outside of Gap Year that are specific to environmental, and we have a really strong horticulture program at our MATC location, and like water sciences, I'd be happy to make that introduction, because that we do have a strong programs that are training students in that area.
I believe, let's see. The website says the next cohort starts September 22nd, 22. And then the next cohort that would potentially start in January 2023. Yes, so this similar to the fall and spring semesters is the hope that we are continuing on that path. Application for 2023 will hopefully open in September, and then we'll have those decisions made by December, and then we'll kick that off in mid-January. Let's see, we have about 2 minutes left. Just reading through a couple of these questions. Skilled trades, we do have a trades week. We go down to the Oak Creek campus for that. So we do explore other campuses that MATC has to offer depending on what their niche is. So plumbing, electric, and such are included in that as well. We have 1 minute left. So if you have any other questions, or if you want to connect with any of today's speakers, we can provide you with their information in the chat. I can also provide you with my information. There it is. And I can forward you along to who you need to get in touch with. We thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to Richa from Northwestern Mutual for her early belief and interest in our program and making such an impact on the gap year. And thank you to MATC for putting this program together and providing our youth with so many opportunities and insight to what their futures can hold. And thank you, Alexis, for joining us today, being a part of the gap year. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you, and we look forward to seeing you more as a future mentor alum. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add before we close out? All right. Well, thank you so
for
much,
coming.
everyone. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon.